Hey guys, it's Shannon Graham. You know, you haven't seen me for a little while, and there's a reason for that. You know, last year was one of the most important years of my life. And I came to some pretty strong conclusions about myself and about how I wanted to show up in the world for my family, for my friends, for my clients, and just in general. And one of the major conclusions that I came to at the end of last year was essentially that there's two types of people. The first type are people that have a gift. And these are people that are creators, they are inventors. They are people who literally think of something that is useful to bring to the world, and they bring it forth and it makes a huge difference. For example, the people who invented cell phones or computers or the written word, those were all creations that were brought to the world. Those were gifts. And what that means is if you are that type of person, it is your job, it is your mission here on earth to take whatever it is that is your creation and bring it to the world. Now, the other type of person is the gift. And what I mean by that is these are people like Jesus or Buddha or Mahatma Gandhi or Mother Teresa. These are people who literally, by being in their atmosphere, you level up in some way, shape, or form. That is how you receive their gift. And so fundamentally, they're very similar, and yet they're very different. And in this success world, self-improvement, coaching space, what I've seen is this kind of muddying of the waters, if you will. What I mean by that is people who are the gift have been sold the idea that they have a gift and that they should leverage and automate it. Now, two things typically happen when that's the case. Number one, you as an individual, if you are the gift and you subscribe to a strategy that is for someone who has a gift, it feels off in your soul, in your just in your being. It feels off, and it's because you've diluted the gift. The gift is you, which means you just have to show up. You know, thank God that Jesus didn't decide to write a book about how to be compassionate. He just showed up. Thank God that Buddha didn't decide to leverage and automate himself. People literally just came to him and they sat with him. Mother Teresa, what did she do? She just showed up. She sat with people. She fed them. She hugged them. That was her gift. You see, one of the myths in our industry is you have to make a big impact, and typically what that means is you have to impact a lot of lives. There's this whole idea of one to many, right? You have to get your message in front of a lot of people. And at the end of the day, I get it, conceptually. But the challenge is getting your message in front of millions of people does not change the quality of the showable transcendental consciousness, even for that individual. It doesn't drastically shift them at their core. Just because you shotgun your message in front of a lot of people, or a lot of people see your YouTube video, if you are ultimately the gift, then it's not going to make a big difference, because you are supposed to show up. So that was one of the major distinctions that I had last year. And so this year, if you've been thinking about, should I do a program, or should I do a webinar, or should I do this, or should I do that? First of all, just think about, what's my gift? There's a huge difference between what is my gift and what is my experience. You know, in the past, people have paid me a lot of money for my experience because I have perspective. I can say, hey, don't do this instead. Hey, say this, not that. Because I've been there and done it. I've beat my head against the wall enough times that I know the difference. And that's valuable, but it's not as valuable as my gifts. And so sometimes we get tricked into thinking that our experience is what we should lead with. And I'm here to tell you that your gift is what you need to lead with. Now, the second part of that is I thought about how our industry fulfills these promises that we make. Whether it's to transform your life or your relationships or your income, we've got the very silver bullet method, don't we? The 90-day program, the 30-day program, the weekend intensive. And it all sounds very sexy, and it all kind of has to get you there real quick kind of feel to it. And unfortunately, we know that it's just not possible to really transform in that short amount of time. I've had some pretty powerful discussions lately with people who all agree that true transformation takes time. You know, a mighty oak tree certainly has all the ingredients it needs to become great, but it doesn't happen overnight. A gold medal winning Olympic athlete doesn't get there in 90 days. It just doesn't happen. Now, it's not to say that you can't create outstanding results in a short amount of time. I'm not saying that. Certainly, I've experienced it, and other people have as well. But when it comes to true transformation, it takes time. So this all led up to an idea. Because remember, I said I was thinking about how I wanted to show up. So after some of these distinctions, I said, man, you know what? The first thing is, I just want to show up and give my gift. That's it. Maybe a little bit of my experience when it's necessary, but I'm not going to lead with that. I'm going to lead with my gift. And the way that I'm going to fulfill that is not a webinar, is not an online video program, is not some automated and leveraged type of approach. Because I realized that for people to experience me at the highest level, they had to get in my atmosphere. That's just the way that I am. So I said, great, I want to create something where I can literally be with my people. And I wanted to create something that was intensive. And so I said, you know what? I want to depart from everything that I've been exposed to in the past. I want to depart from everything that is normal, everything that everyone says that you should do. I want to do something totally different. And so I thought about the type of people that I want to work with are visionaries. They're not so interested necessarily in the minutia of the details of like, how do you make the sale? They're interested in legacy. In what is my legacy? You know, entrepreneurs set a lot of goals. And goals are great, goals are important. But very often I talk to entrepreneurs about their legacy and they don't have a clue. Your legacy is something that transcends your life. It goes on far beyond you. It's something most people don't think about, but it's something that everyone has the opportunity to create. So I said, I want to work with visionary entrepreneurs, leaders of movements that will literally change the world. I said, well, I'm essentially going to be creating champions. I'm going to be creating legends. And if I'm going to do that, I want to work with these people very intensively, very intimately. And so I created a program called Legacy. This is the first program in history to combine high-level one-on-one coaching and a mastermind. Because in my history, I have seen the benefits of both. I've seen the benefits of working with a coach very intimately over a prolonged amount of time, and I have seen the great power that comes from being in a mastermind. So I decided to combine those. Now, I secretly launched this program at the end of last year, and it's off to a phenomenal start. And I'm creating this video today to fill you in on some of the things that I've been thinking about, some of the ideas that I've been playing with, and more importantly, what I'm doing from here on out. So this video is It's an update, but it's also an invitation. Because I know there are other people like myself out there who are interested in legacy. They're interested in leading a movement, something that's far bigger than themselves. And if that's you, then I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to discuss with you what your legacy is and how you can be a part of this group that I'm creating that is literally changing the landscape of the entrepreneurial world. Because I'll tell you this, the current leaders and the current role models of the entrepreneurial landscape are not ideal. They're not. They're people who work 18 hours a day, hunched over a computer. They neglect their family, they neglect their health. They make tons of money, and that becomes the #1 metric by which their success is measured. And all other entrepreneurs look at them and say, wow, they've got it going on. I'm gonna model their style. I'm gonna model their approach. So I'm gonna work 18 hours a day. I'm gonna neglect my health. I'm gonna neglect my family. I'm gonna neglect my spirituality. And I'm gonna be successful, and I'm gonna be like them. And that's the way to do it. And I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong. And I think we as entrepreneurs owe it to the world to bring a new era of entrepreneurs to the scene, to set a new standard. Because the problems and the challenges that we currently face cannot be solved at the level of thinking that we created them. And the current level of entrepreneurial landscape that we have is not adequate, in my opinion, moving forward. If we are truly going to change the world, the current role models that we have as entrepreneurs must shift, must change. So if that excites you, if you like the idea of actually showing up in your business rather than hiding behind a computer, if you like the idea of leading a movement and growing your business based on moves that are bold rather than passive, then I encourage you to reach out to me. Because the sooner you do, the sooner we can move this forward. I'll talk to you soon.